cheat sheet here on a Wednesday. I'm Marcas Grant, joined by Michael F. Florio and LaQuan Jones. Happy preseason Eve? I don't know.
Eve?
Eve? I'm not really sure.
Are we
Something like
celebrating?
Man, it already.
No, we're
You
not.
don't count the Hall of Fame game?
I don't know if I've talked to you guys about this. I know I was talking to my friend and co-host on SiriusXM, Chris Manzo. He and I were talking about this recently. That we think they should move the Hall of Fame game, and his original suggestion was to actually have the Hall of Fame game be the final week of the preseason. I said I'll do you one better. Why not? Because most of the season start. I know they want to start it on a Thursday, but why don't you take the first game and play it on a Saturday? Have that be the Hall of Fame game. And so, all day Saturday morning, you can do the Hall of Fame induction. You can do the speeches, right? And then at night, you kick off the season with the Hall of Fame game. So that way, it is a full day celebration of football. You get a marquee game at the end of what is a marquee day with some of your all-time greats being welcomed into the Hall of Fame. And then the following day is Sunday, where you get a full slate of games leading up to Sunday night, and then you can do your Monday games and stuff like that too. Why not make the Hall of... Because now we're at a point where the Hall of Fame game is sort of a punchline, right? Where it's like, if you're watching the Hall of Fame game, you're kind of a sicko, right?
Yeah.
But look, I'm not trying to carry the water for the Bobs here. But did you see that more people watched the Hall of Fame game than the NBA All-Star game?
That's pretty wild.
But that's the bar we're setting. That's the bar we're setting. The NBA.
If I'm the NBA, I'm covering my face with that one.
I am, but the NBA All-Star game is again, that's also you're kind of a basketball sicko if you're watching that, because especially the last couple of years, the NBA All-Star game has been more about the pregame and halftime performances than the actual game itself. All-Star Saturday Night's great. The 3-point contest is still great and still fun. And even the rookie versus second year guys or whatever that game is that they play.
Skills obstacle.
That game's fun. Yeah, rookies versus sophomores. That game's still fun. The All-Star game itself is
awful.
It's awful. So I don't know if that's a great bar to set. So anyway, preseason week 1 is coming up. We'll preview some of the things that we expect to see in that. Also, the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio is this weekend, including the Kings Classic Draft. Florio, you and I are basically sharing teams, I guess, if you will, in that draft. So we'll talk a little bit about strategy. LaQuan, I know you can't make it. You have family obligations. So you will be missed. We will, send you photos of us from Georgia's.
Yes,
and stuff.
That's actually my request. I just want a fun picture at Georgia's and a good time in a packed room.
All right, sounds good. In the meantime, we do have some news to jump into. This news hit yesterday afternoon. It was sort of rumored and speculated for a few days, and now it has happened. Keenan Allen does come home. He took a 1-year sabbatical, apparently, in Chicago. And like a lot of Chicago snowbirds, decided he should move to a warmer climate for the winter. So he comes back to Los Angeles for a 1-year deal. LaQuan, look, last year was not a bad year for Keenan in Chicago. I think, people had higher expectations for the Bears offense as a whole, but 70 catches, 744 yards, 7 touchdowns, a pretty big number for Keenan last year. How much does he have left in the tank, a.k.a. where would you be willing maybe to draft him, if at all?
Oh, man, if anything, if I'm drafting him, he's my wide receiver 4 or 5, maybe, because I think just comfortability with Justin Herbert. I mean, the last 4 seasons he had him, he had 3 100 catches seasons. So I'm looking at this, it's this is a real threat to, Ladd McConkey, which we'll get to later. But I think Keenan Allen is still a valuable wide receiver that you can have that has that upside and comfortability and history with Justin Herbert. I mean, look, he still was separating above league average, 3.0 target per separation rate as per next gen stats. So you're looking at, he's still able to create that separation. He had 7 touchdowns. He's still able to find the end zone on a dysfunctional Bears offense that was god awful. So you're seeing a guy that's still able to generate catches, still able to create the separation. I'm drafting him as if it's regular discounted Keenan Allen that we've done in previous years in fantasy drafts. So I'm all in on it, man. I mean, if he would have went anywhere else, I would have been out. But he's back home. He should have never left, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He wanted to. Sometimes you just got to test the waters, right? You got to see what's out there, right? I mean, sometimes you got to move away.
I ain't going from the LA climate to Chicago. I tell you that. I will take the discount and stay.
I love the city of Chicago. It is a great city. Every time I've been, I've had a wonderful time. They also have Game of Thrones winter, and as a native Californian, I don't want any part of that.
Game of Thrones winter.
They do. They have Game of Thrones winter. I don't want any part of that for sure. The next question, though, obviously is, should Ladd McConkey stands be worried? And this is where I turn my neck to slowly gaze at Michael F. Florio.
I'm sorry.
Well, things have changed.
Like Kevin Hart. Damn.
It's not like we could celebrate because things have changed, but I also think Ladd McConkey is going to be fine. I think that Ladd is going to be their top target. If anything, this probably takes some defensive pressure off of him. I think what this also indicates is maybe they're not as confident in Trey Harris as we all thought.
There it is.
but it's true. If anyone is going to suffer here, it's going to be the secondary guys. What I do think is not great for Ladd, though, is that Keenan Allen is a big threat to steal those slot snaps away. Last season, Ladd McConkey, only JSN had more yards out of the slot. He ran about 65% of his routes from the slot per next gen. Keenan was 51%. So, but at this advanced age and stuff, I do think Keenan probably plays more in the slot, bumps Ladd out wide a little bit more. And I agree with LQ in the sense of I'm not willing to write off Keenan yet. His numbers did take a hit metrically last season, but DJ Moore's did. Rome Odunze didn't live up to the hype. How much of that is on the receiver versus it was just an awful offense? So, yeah, the age cliff is coming. I still think Ladd will be okay, but I'd rather Keenan not be there for Ladd McConkey,
Yeah, no, I think you talk about the offense last year, right? And how much of it was the players, certainly some of it, but how much of it was Shane Waldron, who also got fired midway through the year because the offense was not producing the way people expected it to. And then obviously you end up firing Matt Eberflus at some point during the season as well. So I think there are a lot of things in play. I think you guys are both correct that, yeah, Keenan Allen is definitely worth drafting, coming back to a place, working with a quarterback that he's very familiar with. I think all those things mean that he's worthy of being on a fantasy roster. And I go back to, look, we had a great conversation yesterday with actor Scott Porter. If you haven't heard it, please go check it out. It was a lot of fun. Dude got really kind of deep on stuff too. But one of the things he said, which I think we all know deep in our hearts, is that there's no player that is worth completely avoiding if the price is right. And I think for Keenan Allen, it's sort of understanding where he fits in the wide receiver ecosystem and understanding that, if you draft him, to build your roster a certain way, or if you're able to get him in a certain round, there's still a lot of value there for a guy that I think is going to have an integral part of this offense. And again, this is a move that doesn't happen without, one, Mike Williams retiring, but also if maybe they don't have questions about, say, Trey Harris or Keandre Lambert-Smith. I know you felt like you were under attack just now, LaQuan, but
I was.
But
seriously was.
But do you have to reevaluate how you feel about Trey Harris?
You do. You can't ignore Keenan Allen. I mean, this is Keenan Allen. I mean, Keenan Allen is going to be Keenan Allen. He has been very productive with Justin Herbert. So they obviously making this move feel like it's a need to have that comfortability on that X or even in the slot. But I do think that Trey Harris still has a shot to make an impact in year one, just not fantasy relevant. He's more so of a guy you put on your watch list if Keenan Allen is washed or if Ladd McConkey is struggling because Keenan Allen's getting too many catches. And again, Ladd McConkey's price might not be right now, which I will hammer the table for. But I definitely feel like at the end of the day, Trey Harris, Keandre Lambert-Smith, these are guys that are just watch lists at this point, man. They're gonna make splashes and flashes here and there, but I guess best ball, if you're looking to target them late, I guess if you have a deep bench, I guess you could take a Trey Harris. But Keandre Lambert-Smith seems like he's a preseason hero, where we get these big, inflated ADPs with guys that just come out of nowhere, but we need to chill out, calm down. Keenan Allen's back in the house. He's the alpha.
Is it Jover for Quentin Johnston?
Wait. He's the alpha
He's the
over
alpha.
Lad McConkey.
See, oh, you were listening. Yes, he is the alpha over Lad McConkey. Lad is not a true one of an offense. Situational targets, I will hammer down. This is the biggest threat he's had to anybody who has 100 catches under their belt. Nobody had over 60. Okay, he's still out there balling. He's still out there playing at a high level when you look at some of the metrics of terms of target separation, his red zone presence, and you're getting a quarterback now that knows how to place the ball in your hand. You have an offense that has a direction of being productive. Just saying.
I don't know, man. And I like Keenan Allen. I've been a Keenan Allen fan.
You're too low on Lad, man.
but also, look, if Keenan Allen were still an alpha,
Hector, I thought we was boys, bro. Come on, we was in the chat exchanging.
Sometimes your boys got to tell you like it is. If Keenan Allen really was still considered an alpha, he probably would have been signed before August 5th. You know,
or the Chargers already had up their sleeve and they wanted to see what they got out of the young guys. They wanted to see if they were able to step up.
I do think Keenan had no interest in being at training camp. Like I think
that too.
Look, I get that.
Like his back is sore, bro. Like what are you talking about?
I sort of get that.
Sore backs.
We'll get to that.
Let that bus go by.
We'll get to that in a little bit. I do love our producer Gavin putting in the chat that Jalen Reagor would have been the vet in the room.
They should have let him.
No, they shouldn't have.
You know, there's one name that didn't come up though. Quentin Johnston.
I was going to say. I just ask you, like, was Quentin? Is it over? Is it over for him now at this point? It's over. All right.
He'll have a role for the real life Chargers. It's over for fantasy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
That's all I wanted to put to bed.
Jordan Addison has been suspended for 3 games after violating league substance abuse policy. He was arrested for a DUI in 2024, pleaded no contest to that. So by the way. we know that he's going to be gone for the first 3 games of the season. As of yesterday, when I looked on Fantasy Pros, he was the wide receiver 36. Florio, how much do you think that changes in the near future?
It's definitely going to go down. I haven't had time. Yes, you might have heard yesterday was a little bit of a busy day. So I haven't had time to go in and update the ranks just yet. But I had him lower than that to begin with. I had him at 40 pre-suspension. I'll probably drop him down about 5 or 6 spots. Like I will admit though, I am not the Jordan Addison guy. I wasn't last season. To me, Jordan Addison is what he is. He's going to pop some weeks. He's going to have some really dud weeks because Justin Jefferson is always going to get all the volume. I think TJ Hawkinson is going to be the number 2 target. Addison is a luxury that they have on the outside that in the right matchups and stuff, he will hit. But it's not going to be a weekly thing, in my opinion. It's going to be one of those frustrating things trying to pick which game it is. And he'll probably have like a 3-touchdown, 120-yard game or something like that. And then you'll start him the next week, and he'll give you like 2 for 20 or something like that. So he's just not one of these receivers. Plus, first-time quarterback. Like I don't want the third option on as good as the Vikings are. I don't want the third option with a first-year quarterback.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest part about the Vikings this year, right? Is that, cause remember last year they bring in Sam Darnold, we're all like, oh, downgrade all your Vikings. Like, we know how this goes. We've seen Sam Darnold. And then Darnold has a career year. Justin Jefferson balls out. And we're like, we're all idiots. Why did we even think this in the first place? And so now we're back here again. We're like, JJ McCarthy, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I think everybody's still in on Justin Jefferson, right? Like, we've obviously decided that it doesn't really matter who's throwing the ball, that it could be either one of us throwing the ball and Jefferson.
We've seen enough bad quarterbacks get him the ball where it doesn't matter.
Yeah. But I think it does sort of impact how we feel about other guys. Obviously, I think we also, with Addison, looked around and saw that a suspension was very likely. And I think that is sort of baked into the ADP as well. But I'm going to ask you, LaQuan, because you were not on TJ Hawkinson. You kind of, I guess, slowly warmed up to him, I guess. I mean, does this warm you up even more to TJ Hawkinson?
It kind of does, because Florio makes a good point. I mean, the third option in an offense with a quarterback right now that's gone through training camp without Justin Jefferson, by the way, and has been struggling in sense of getting up to speed, a sense when you're going against Brian Flores and that crazy ass defense. So I do feel like at the end of the day, you're taking a risk. with any of these pass catchers. I've come around with TJ Hawkinson. The reason why I wasn't is because of the touchdowns. I mean, that's kind of what I need out of my tight ends. But I think now that he may be the hyper focus of this offense, with Justin Jefferson still, we don't have any real clarity of what his hamstring is right now. It's mild. It's not concerning, but we've seen these things kind of linger and come back. So I feel like, when you approach the draft and you're looking at the Vikings, JJ McCarthy being a first-year starter, second-year player, it's kind of like he has nothing that we've seen on the field to indicate that these guys will thrive in this offense. So I'm being a little cautious, even with TJ Hawkinson. I'm not ready to pull his ADP up or tell folks to be aggressive. If he falls to you, he falls to you.
I feel like that's
the opposite.
Are you super?
You want to go aggressive?
He's my tight end 3 in my rankings.
Ooh, so what?
That's respectful.
Bowers, McBride, Hawkinson.
McBride, Bowers, Hawkinson.
McBride, Bowers, Hawkinson. Okay.
Yeah, I'm Team McBride all the way as tight end 1. But
yeah, that's fair.
Look, he was on pace for it was 110 catches, 1,100 yards, and 10 touchdowns in this KOC system before he tore his ACL. Like, that's the height of his potential. But like, it's a fantasy friendly system, and it's a young quarterback that I think is going to throw a bunch to the tight end.
Hey, stash Jalen Naylor if you have already drafted Jordan Addison. I'm pretty sure he's out there because he's been making waves in camp too right now, and great connection with JJ right now. And like, we've seen Jalen Naylor pop up. He's wide receiver 96. He's undrafted. So he's like one of those guys in this 3-game, suspension streak that he can have some flashes because he's shown us that he could be a deep threat. I mean, 14.6 yards per reception. My God, that was second on the team behind Justin Jefferson.
I would say if I'm taking Naylor, I would rather draft him and then drop him after 3 games than,
to stick that elbow right in the Addison owner. Yeah.
Well, but also rather than using fab money or using a waiver priority on a guy that probably only has 3 weeks of real value in an offense.
Hey, I rather that and have my league mate start with a 0-3 start.
If Jordan Addison's the difference between you and an 0-3 start,
trust me.
I don't really love your team. In the
teams fall apart with their wide receiver 3 depth. Teams have fallen apart.
All right.
I know by experience.
Since we're talking about tight ends, I see one from CK Jackson here asking if Mason Taylor is underrated.
Ankle sprain. Sheesh.
Yeah, he's dealing with an ankle sprain right now, which is not particularly great. The old high ankle sprain, not particularly great. I guess he gives the most hope we've seen for a Jets tight end in a long time. But I mean, literally, I have been playing fantasy football since the late 1900s, and the Jets have never had a tight end worthwhile. So maybe, I don't know.
I think we kind of ironed this out.
He's someone that is like a late round dart throw. With this ankle injury, he might just be a waiver wire guy now. I do think there's upside there. The Jets don't have a clear-cut number 2 target and stuff, but he's not someone you should be drafting as a starter or anywhere close to it.
Yeah, true. LaQuan, you were up in Oxnard yesterday, Oxnard, California, where the Cowboys hold their training camp. The Rams and Cowboys are doing joint practices this week. I'm just curious, did you see anything of interest, anything that caught your eye while you were out there yesterday?
I'll start with the Cowboys side. I mean, honestly, CD and Pickens are going to be who they are. And it's obviously evident that CD at times is going to drag a defender with him for that double attention.
By the way, when you say George Pickens is going to be who he is, that's a wide range of things. That could be a lot of things.
Put it like this. With CD demanding so much respect and so much attention, like you literally see in that one big clip that CD had the wide open, like where he was open, but then you see Pickens grab just out of nowhere where like, how did Dak even see Pickens come across the middle? Because you take that one defender, that safety, and they respect 88. You ain't going to leave 88 one-on-one. So it allows Pickens to make the bigger play because it's like, oh, wow, you're going to have to deal with both of these headaches. So I thought that was definitely interesting. And like the Cowboys, their defensive line, they kind of struggle against the Rams offensive line, which was actually, good to see. Jimmy G back there throwing no-look poke, passes to Devontae Adams and Puka. Like, Jimmy G's feeling himself, I feel a little bit better than Jimmy G about GMG. Seeing him in person made me kind of calm down. But like fantasy relevant wise, like I see like the Rams having such a strong wide receiver depth, Kanante Mumfield, Jordan Whittington, like Tutu Atwell caught an amazing bomb down the perimeter from Jimmy G. And I'm just like, this is the connection that I want to see with him and Stafford, but at a higher rate of him just being a deep threat. So like I think Tutu, he needs to be on some radars, man, as a possible like wide receiver 4 or 5.
I thought it was interesting. And I think I mentioned this earlier in the week that I was out at Rams camp over the weekend, talked to JB Long, who was their radio voice. One of the things he said that stuck out to me is that I think the Rams apparently are very excited about the rookie class they have, but there's I don't want to say fear, but there really is a belief that those guys are going to have a hard time getting on the field just because of the depth they have at some of those positions, right? So that means like Jarquez Hunter, for one, is in a battle basically for the RB2 job with Blake Corum. That they liked what they saw from Blake Corum, but then obviously he broke his hand at the end of the season, so he didn't get to play in the playoffs.
It was a forearm,
Kanate Mumfield, who we had a chance to talk to on the podcast last week, a guy who I know has really flashed at camp, but you got Devontae Adams, and you got Puka Nacua, and you got Jordan Whittington, and you got Tutu Atwell. That, for everything he has done at camp, it just might not be enough, and it's not really his fault just because they've got a lot of guys in front of him there. So I think that's something interesting to keep in mind. So if, like, for anybody who's looking at Rams rookies, understand Sean McVay seems to like these guys. They just have guys in front of them that may make it hard.
Jaden Blue is real. And I don't think it's just like
I'm gonna
hype
keep drafting
now.
him then.
Like seeing it, it was like, okay, this guy, he could really like squeeze between the tackles. Like he doesn't just bolt into the back of his offensive line. Like he has patience in his running. And like to see that is like, oh, he doesn't just rely on his speed. Like he can bounce out and wait for his, his lineman to make the gaps. And then he just shoots out like a freaking slingshot. And I'm like, oh, this guy's legit. So I'm coming around on Jaden Blue, and then hopefully he stays cheap.
All right. I mean, probably awesome. Not as the hype builds, especially if we see him play this weekend. We'll see.
This was something I said on a show an hour ago. I was like, the thing about Javonte Williams is he's not good. So like Jaden Blue is the guy that I'm all about in that backfield.
Yeah, Florio's just throwing shots at us, man. Like, what is this? What is, man? Just
Florio's wait, who's the Javonte? Oh, well, you wrote off Javonte like 2 years ago.
I know.
He was good.
He was good. It just never panned out.
The knee injury took everything away from him.
Yeah, it's just
Melvin Gordon took everything away from him.
I don't know if that was the case. I think the knee injury definitely hurt a lot for sure. Speaking of the preseason, week 1 of the preseason hits coming up this weekend. In fact, starting on Thursday, actually, we get some preseason games. Just kind of looking around at teams that right now have said they plan to play their starters at least for a little bit. The Bengals, the Bears, the Cardinals, the Raiders have said for sure. The Titans said that Cam Ward and some of their starters are going to play. In fact, Brian Callahan's and Cam Ward and the starters will play in every preseason game.
Let's go.
With the Jaguars, I know Trevor Lawrence says he would like to play, but at least as of yesterday, Liam Cohen hadn't made a final decision, so we're not sure about that. On the other side, I know the Ravens have said they're not going to play Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry. Not really a surprise there. We know the Rams are not going to play their guys. That Sean McVay tends to use these joint practices sort of as the preseason game, so you're not going to see, you're not going to see Puka or Devontae or Jimmy G.
You're definitely not going to see Stafford.
All right. Chill out. Chill out. We might see him next week. Chill out.
You're not gonna see Kyron because he's a starter and he's a workhorse, and they're gonna use him a lot.
But we get
putting him in a bubble right now.
We get to see the competition. No, I bet you Jarquez only plays a limited snaps. Let's go.
Probably. Some of the guys that are expected to play: Shedeur Sanders expected to start for the Browns. The word out of Colts camp right now that Anthony Richardson is going to be the starter in this week's preseason game, and then next week it'll be Daniel Jones who starts. So both guys are going to get an opportunity to play with the first team in preseasons as they continue to evaluate those guys in that competition there. I should ask because, obviously it's become trendy to not play your starters much or at all in the preseason. I tend to believe that's why we see sloppier play in the first month of the season, just because I don't think these guys get enough time in live game situations until they're sort of working out a lot of the kinks the first few weeks.
On live television.
on live television, right? I mean, Florio, should we give more weight to offenses that tend to play their starters? And I'm not saying the Bills should be running Josh Allen out there for, a half or anything like that, but it does feel better when these guys get a little bit of live game action. And should we lean more on offenses that do that?
I think for the big proven established offenses, it doesn't matter. Like you said, like the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals, I'd even throw like the Commanders and like the ones that we know. The Rams, yeah, I would 100% put the Rams in there. Like we know what that offense for the most part is going to look like and who the big players are and stuff. I think when we start to get a little bit offenses with new play callers, I think like that's one that you really 100%. Should want to see the starters out there with new quarterbacks. And anytime there's a competition and we're looking for who might have the edge, that's where I think all of it matters. And maybe if you're debating between two players that are pretty close and you're like, one I've seen out there playing well with the starters, one hasn't played at all, like I'll use that as a tiebreaker. I think that is where it could be implemented. But I don't see myself at least like pushing up certain players because we're seeing them go in the preseason. But I do wish more of these teams did it because it would help us figure out a lot of answers before the test starts, like we would know before we draft in some sense.
There's certain teams that need to play. Like we need to see Bryce Young. We need to see him play majority of the preseason so he can keep that momentum that he ended with last season. CJ Stroud and that entire offensive line needs to be playing because if the offensive line is struggling against the freaking 3s and 4s of the teams of the strings, then we already know we're going to get that first couple of weeks in the season. Like that is the biggest concern over there in Houston. And I think because if that O-line ain't helping nobody, you can't hit Nico up the perimeter or Jaden Higgins on the sideline. Like you can't even get that time for that play to develop. So these O-linemen that, you're questioning about, some of the guys you bring in, like Cam Robinson, like these guys didn't have great run blocking or pass blocking type of like PFF grade. So I'm looking at it as like, teams like that, they need to go through this whole entire preseason process and get battle tested before the season starts.
Yeah, I mean, so you guys have sort of touched on some guys or some teams maybe that you're interested in kind of watching. One team I do want to see, and I have no idea how much they're playing their starters, if at all, is kind of the Dolphins. And just because it just feels like nobody is excited about them. Tyreek Hill doesn't even seem excited about being a Dolphin at this point, right? And like I don't know if they're going to play Tua in the starters, if at all. I don't know how much. But I just want a glimpse of something that reassures me because regardless of how you feel about Tyreek Hill, you're still spending a fairly high draft pick to get him, right? You're still spending a fairly high draft pick on Devon Achane. There's still at least some hope that Jalen Waddle can bounce back to where he was. But, like, I need something to make me feel like it's going to be okay. At least for the first couple of months. Like, we know that once, winter hits and it starts getting cold around the country, that the Dolphins offense goes into hibernation. But at least give me some reason to believe that at least through Halloween, I can get some production from these guys. And, like, look, it could be false hope. I'm down with having false hope. But I want even that. Like, just give me some reason to believe.
Do you want to see them like airing the ball out more, or?
I would like to see them go downfield a little bit more. I'd like to see if they can get the ball to Jalen Waddle on purpose, right? Like that it's not just like Tua looking around and saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, here you go. Here's a target or two." Like, yeah, I want to believe that he is an actual part of the offense. That's kind of what I want to see. So even if it's just 2 drives, even just 1 drive, I just want to see them do something to make me feel okay. Just, pat me on the head, give me a hug, tell me it's going to be all right.
No.
One big caveat with preseason, like whether it's Anthony Richardson or I was talking about this with Justin Fields on another show today, like you don't want to see your running quarterbacks run. Like
no, because that just lends itself to bad things.
Yeah, and you want them to get as much passing reps as possible. And I know the reports lately are like Justin Fields has been awful. Great. When the season starts and he's running, I don't care. So like you could even get a lower ADP potentially because of that.
Yeah, that's another thing too. I'm very curious to see who are going to be the big ADP movers after this season, right? Because it's going to happen. It's going to be like one guy is going to play a ton in preseason. We're going to freak out, or some guy who's the RB2 is going to look great, and we're going to move him up. I am very curious as to who will be the movers.
I could see Roma Dunze being a big climber.
Emeka Ibuka for me.
Yeah.
As soon as we get a flash, he falls into the end zone. It's going to be inflated. It's just going to be inflated.
Which, by the way, being good company people that we are, I should let you know that Thursday, 7 Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, you can see Colts Ravens on NFL Network. And then 7 Pacific, 10 Eastern, you can see Raiders and Seahawks. On Friday, it's Browns Panthers at 7 o'clock Eastern on the network. And then on Saturday, 3 games across NFL Network. 1 o'clock Eastern, it is Giants Bills. 4 o'clock is Texans Vikings. 8 o'clock is Jets and Packers. And then round out the weekend on Sunday, 1 o'clock Dolphins Bears. And then at 4 o'clock is Saints and Chargers. So you might have heard there's some news that we apparently have decided to partner up with a mouse for our future network needs, which brings a question. Dominic Lucas asking, do we have to change apps now for fantasy? The short answer is, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're asking the wrong people.
Sure, that's just, I don't know. That one is way above our pay grade. And also, yes, I saw that question. No, you can put the other one back up too, Gavin. Mark, now that ESPN owns the network, who is getting replaced by Stephen A. Smith? Probably us. It's probably going to be us. It's gonna be the cheat sheet is going to be like, now you know that I am sympathetic to the Dallas Cowboys. However, I would not draft Javonte Williams on my fantasy team. So anyway,
that was a good impression.
Thanks, I appreciate that. I mean, look, the long and short of it, because I don't know, I'm sure you guys have been getting text messages and phone calls and stuff like that asking what this means. And for us who are doing this, the answer really is honestly, we don't know. But in the short term, we are here. We're still doing this show. We're still going to be doing the podcast.
We'll be here all
we'll be doing
season
Fantasy
with you
Live.
guys.
We'll be here all season. Yeah. So at least for 2025, things are status quo. So if you like us, rest assured we will still be here for you. If you are sick of us, sorry about your luck, because we're still going to be here all season long. So, yeah. All right, now a real question here. This one from Christian Rogers. Just saw RJ Harvey at the bottom of the depth chart for the Broncos' updated depth chart. Just a Sean Payton rookie treatment thing, right? Mm-hmm. That, or, I mean, this time of year, it's like the PR people and the interns who are putting out depth charts, and they aren't necessarily, in the meeting rooms or necessarily consulting with the coaches. So I would not put a ton of stock into preseason depth charts. Is that fair?
Sean Payton is contractually obligated to hype up Audric Estime once a month. So
that's probably true.
He's just trolling.
That's true, actually. J-Pot Gaming asking, thoughts on the Colts QB snafu?
Anthony Richardson is who I'm rooting for all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think because we want to see where the ceiling is with him. And the early reports are that he actually has looked really good in training camp. So, we'll get a sense this weekend.
I'm going with my cousin. Give me my cousin, man. I need him to start.
Janiel Dones?
Janiel Jones.
Janiel Dones?
I need Cuzzo to start, man, for Josh Downs, for the sake of Michael Pittman to be relevant, Tyler Warren to thrive. That's all.
I guess because I've tapped out on drafting Colts pass catchers that, it doesn't matter to me.
I only draft Tyler Warren. And I think he'll be fine with either one.
But yeah, it sounds like Kyle Williams without his drops would be a late steal. Mark my words. Oh, look, I've been drafting him late, so I'm already on that train. Especially in best ball drafts, I have paired a lot of Drake May and Kyle Williams because the price is good and there's upside there. Like if it hits, great. So I'm not opposed to Kyle Williams.
I do hate how hyped up the Patriots have become, though. Because I thought I was going to get all these guys at a much cheaper price. I'm in on all of them.
In fantasy or just in actual football?
Oh, no one is. I haven't heard many people hype them up in real life football, but for fantasy, like Drake May is getting a ton of buzz and deservingly so. But Travion Henderson's buzz grows every single day. Kyle Williams is getting more and more, and I've been on these guys since last season, so like I'm sad now that it's going to cost me a lot more to get them. That's the only thing.
Andy Warhol once very famously said, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. On fantasy Twitter, everyone's going to be famous for 15 minutes. Like over the course of the off season, every team, every semi-relevant player is going to have at least
Javon Baker
day.
Yeah, Patriots camp today.
Everybody's going to get at least a day, maybe half a day to get talked up across fantasy social media. And so I think the upside for you, Florio, is that if you want a team or a player that's hyped, you want them to get hyped earlier in the season, in the off season, so that way, by the time you get closer to the start of the year, people are, we already talked about that guy. We're going to pump somebody else up. So hopefully the ADP.
Hey, I hope that works.
Out. I don't know. Anyway, so this weekend, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio. Bob Long, as always, doing yeoman's work putting this thing on. It has just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. I always say this. I was there for the very first year before the Expo existed, when it was just the Kings Classic draft, and then a bunch of us jerks going to a Buffalo Wild Wings and eating wings and drinking beer until they kicked us out. That's what it was originally. Now it has grown into a thing that really is a full weekend. It is fantasy football Coachella, and it really is.
I love that.
It is all owed to the work of Bob Long, who has made this an absolutely top-tier event. If you are going, would love to see you. Absolutely come by. Don't be afraid. Tap me on the shoulder. Say hello. If you buy me a beer, it definitely goes a lot smoother. But even still, come by, say hello for sure. If you see one of us out there this weekend, if you aren't going to be able to make it, I would definitely make plans to go in the future, because it is a whole lot of fun. Part of this, though, is still the Kings Classic Draft, which has expanded from just being one 14-team league to many 14-team leagues. There are multiple divisions within the Kings Classic. There's the Queens Classic, which is a league comprised of all women. There's an international division where I know folks are drafting online from all around the world. There is an IDP league, which I think is like 14 teams. I think they do like 20-something rounds of drafting.
I was about to say, book your entire day drafting.
It is run by the very excellent Gary Davenport, who is one of the IDP masters in the fantasy space. It really has become a big, big thing. Florio, you and I are splitting. You are going to take the auction draft. I'm going to take the snake draft. But I just want to put out there, because I would assume at this point you guys have played in a 14-team league. LaQuan, I mean, how do you approach a 14-team draft? Because it really is a different animal, even from a 12-team draft. Just adding those two extra teams makes a huge difference.
It does. It makes the waiver wire dry, and it makes every pick matter a little bit more than, wiggle room to make the mistakes. But I think, in a 14-team league, like, you're looking at it like, I want to get guys that I am sure about. So if you're sitting on that back end, you might not even have a shot to go out there and get like some of these guys that you would think. Because like at the 12th pick in a redraft, you're looking at Brian Thomas Jr. and the Drake Londons. Like, that's not going to come back to you to make that type of like combination of your first pick in that at that 110 spot, So like, to me, like, I try to stay away, honestly, from 14. Like, I don't need two more friends. All my friends are 12 and down, man. Like, all my friends need to be just like normal and just not join the 16-team league like my uncle for his work league. And he's asking me for advice. Like, bro, your team sucks. Love you, Unc, but nah, man. I know you're listening today because you thought I was going to trash your Cowboys, but sorry, man. No.
I got roped last year into an 18-team league, and I didn't even know
Why?
that. I didn't know, because like basically it was long story short, one league sort of broke up. A bunch of people got fed up with the commissioner, so they broke off to form their own league. They asked like 2 years ago, they asked, hey, can you do you want to jump in just to fill it out? I'm like, yeah, great. It was 12 teams at the time. I'm like, all right, cool. So the next year, more players from that original league broke away. They came over. I didn't know this. So all I know is I show up in the draft room on draft day, and suddenly I have picked 17. And I'm like, wait, what?
Error.
What? I'm like, I think I backed out of the room. Like I refreshed. I was like, this can't be right. And I texted my buddy who got me, and I was like, is this really? He's like, yeah. He's like, we had a bunch of people jump in all of a sudden. I'm just telling you now, this is my last year.
Split the league.
I'm not coming back next year. 18 teams sucks. It sucks.
Jesus.
I once did. It was in this building. When I was still in the research department, we had every researcher plus past researchers in one league. So it was like 24, 26 teams. We had to make it where you didn't need to roster a quarterback because there wasn't enough for everyone to have a starting quarterback some weeks, like with buys and stuff. So not my favorite way of playing fantasy, but it definitely is fun. And my biggest lesson in leagues that deep, like, one, you have to take less risk. Two, I'm probably like mine is the auction one, so I kind of get to control who I go after. I'm gonna be more in on the high end talent, even more so because, like, yes, you're putting a lot of chips then on like a couple of players, but if you miss out on the high end talent, your roster is going to be like a bunch of 4th, 5th rounders from a 12-round league. So
yeah,
I don't like that.
Oh, it's funny. I do think there's a couple ways to go about it. Certainly in a snake draft, and even I think in an auction draft a little bit more, because it is so deep. I almost feel like, yeah, you can play it safe and get safe floor guys, and it feels like that's a good way to just be average or above average. I'm almost thinking like it's worth taking a swing at high upside guys because if they hit, then you've got a better chance to maybe stand out from the pack. If you get a team full of Jalen Warrens, like you'll be okay, you'll be competitive.
That's a way to make the playoffs and then lose in the first round.
Exactly,
every time.
100% how that goes. So, I will tell you, having been in that room, having done that, Godspeed to you, Florio, because it is a really, really smart room. A lot of really, really smart players. The other thing to be prepared for is when you are, trying to just fill out your last spot on your roster and you've got like $1 left or $2 left, you're going to be really annoyed when you put out a player to bid for like $1 and somebody inevitably goes $3. And you can be like, really?
I just want to get out of here at that point.
Like, I'm just trying to go. Just like, let me have it already. And like somebody inevitably is going to be like, just bid you up a little bit and just be like $2. $3, and then you'll be annoyed. So, have fun with that.
I'm really excited though with an auctioneer and stuff. That sounds like a good time.
There's an actual auctioneer. It is a good time. It is absolutely a good time, and you get to kind of commune with a lot of folks. Free Chuck, yeah, man. Chuck E. Cheese, man. Free Chuck.
Free Chuck.
But there are a lot of people in there that I'm sure probably from social media and the internet. Some of them I know you've probably met in person, but you kind of get to draft with them. And I guess the fun part is even in a room of, quote unquote, so-called experts, sharps, analysts, whatever you want to call us, people still get annoyed when they get sniped. People still will agonize over a pick. In the snake draft, you'll look and you'll be like, and then you'll draft a guy and you'll immediately go like, like all the same behaviors that regular, average, casual folks do during their home league drafts, we do it too. We do it too.
Are beverages involved in this? This is my first year, so I don't know.
There are not adult beverages.
Oh, okay.
We save that for post draft.
Gotcha.
There's sandwiches, there's sodas, but yeah, the adult
sodas.
Plus, considering after the Friday night party, I think everybody's kind of like, I'm gonna need the whole.
Yeah. I just was wondering if there'd be someone like recklessly spending early and then like.
No, we tend to save that for post draft. So
that's funny.
Yeah, we do it sober. All right, this feels like a good spot for us to shut it down for the week. Thanks everybody for jumping in the chat, man. We normally don't do this on a Thursday. Part of it is because we have company meetings that are going on tomorrow. So that
wonder why, right, everyone?
So yeah, we have company meetings that we got to be at tomorrow, so we decided to do this on a Wednesday instead of a Thursday. So we appreciate you all jumping in with us and hanging out with us. But if you haven't already, definitely go back and listen to yesterday's show. We talked with Scott Porter. Friday Night Lights was Jason Street. Also, you can see him currently. There he is. Currently see him on Ginny and Georgia. Season 3 of that show just released on Netflix earlier this summer, so you can go check that out as well. But a lot of fun talk. He's a huge Broncos fan. a huge Nebraska Cornhuskers fan, absolutely knows his stuff, and is maybe even more of a sicko for fantasy football than the three of us. He is super deep in the woods on that. So thanks to Gavin Kinsel for getting us up and on the interwebs. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. That'll do it for this edition of the NFL Fantasy Cheat Sheet. Stay happy, safe, and healthy. Do good and live well. Enjoy preseason football this weekend, everybody. And we'll be back. We'll be back with you on Monday. Starting next week. I should start to say this before I completely get out of here and forget about it. Starting next week, we're back to 3 days a week. So we'll be Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday starting next week. So
And Fantasy Live is back.
Fantasy Live is also going to be back on NFL Network. So we are for real coming up. So enjoy the weekend, everybody. We will talk to you again on Monday. See you.
Peace.